Okay.
Okay.
Um, there's quite a bit of background talking. I can.
Yes.
Is
So
there?
I'm in a shared office.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I think
We'll
most.
make do. We'll make do. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Um. So, can you tell me how many of my typing sessions you've watched before?
I've watched a few. I'd say less than 10, probably. I mean, maybe max 10. But like some of them I just like watched like halfway through.
Sure.
Some I think like the ones I listened to from start to finish might be like 4 or
Okay.
5, maybe.
And how long have you known about personality type stuff?
Almost 20 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
But
That's a long time.
yeah, I mean, I know what like 2007, I think. But it's not like I was like into it the whole time. Like I read about it, learned about it, and then moved on with my life, and then revisited again, and then got more like interested in the topic again. And then
Is it
also,
because when you came back to it, you found out about cognitive functions?
I don't remember exactly when I found out about them, but I changed my type basically like 2 times. So recently, I changed. I don't want to say changed my type, but I changed my interpretation of the system and how it applies to me.
Okay.
So at first, I thought I had one type, and then a few years later, I was like, wait, I'm probably this type more. Like I wasn't sure, but it felt more closer than this other type I
All right.
initially
Well, I
imagined.
think we can figure this out today. I
Yeah,
hope we can.
yeah.
All right. Can you tell me about the last time you went out of town on vacation?
Last time I went on vacation. So I went with my family, with my wife to her parents' place. Um, in another like province or prefecture, you could say.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
So are you married to a Japanese woman?
Yes.
Oh. And so have you lived in Japan for a long time?
It's almost 9 years.
Hmm. How do you like it there? This is not really part of the typing session. I'm just
Yeah,
curious
yeah,
about
yeah.
Japan, you know.
I like it quite a bit. I guess you'd have to compare it to to something else. Otherwise, I could say it's fine. I like it, but um, so I lived in Canada for I think like 15 years before moving to Japan. And one of the things I like, I mean, one thing is the weather or the climate. So the climate is more like more moderate. So in Canada, it can get very cold, like in the winter. Um, but the other more important thing for me is I think like the social environment. I think it's more easy for me to like fit in.
To fit in Canada?
Not fit in. No, actually, it's more easy for me to like handle or deal with the social environment in Japan than in Canada.
Okay.
Um, how do
Okay.
I describe?
Do you speak Japanese well?
I do for like for like on a like for daily Japanese for social events. Yes, for professional purposes, um, kind of maybe like 70% or so.
Okay, cool.
So I can get by, but still be in trouble if there is no if it's expected to be like 100%. I probably wouldn't be on my best um, performance, let's say.
I see. Do you use your multilinguality at work?
Currently, no. I mean, is it useful at work? I mean,
I'm sure it must be useful to speak English at least.
yeah. I mean, it depends because I don't. I'm not the type to stay in one company for a very long time. So it varies from company. Like at one company, it was like being bilingual kind of helps because not everyone speaks perfect Japanese and not everyone speaks perfect English either. But if you can kind of switch between them, you can fill in the gaps. Like the gaps
Right.
you don't know in English, you use Japanese for, and vice versa. And so
Right.
that helps in these types of companies. Um,
I see.
yeah.
Okay. So when you went on that vacation with your wife, what was your favorite moment and least favorite moment of that trip?
Um, I don't really remember. I don't. I don't
Uh,
really remember much. Um, my
How
favorite
long ago
moment.
was it?
It wasn't like very long. I think for me it was like 4 or 5 days, and we didn't really do much. It was just like chilling. Like it wasn't like we didn't really do that much. Like we just chilling at home and did some shopping, some like family dinners, but nothing like.
Did you take the train there? Did you drive there?
We took the bullet train.
Okay. And how was that? Fast and easy, or
It's
sometimes
fast.
transport can be complicated?
Um, so so when you take the bullet train, there are two issues. One is if it's like what do you say? Um, Sorry, sometimes I think I forgot some English for daily stuff. Um, like sometimes there are lots of people trying to ride the train, so it's I guess congested would be the
Yeah,
word, but
crowded.
crowded. Yeah, crowded. How can you forget that? So sometimes it's crowded, depending on the season. And the other issue is, do you take a seat in advance or do you just go in? Like there, you can book two types of tickets. One is like seated, and the other one is like free. So you can. There are areas specific for like when you don't have your seat like designated, and then it's like if you come in early, then you get a seat, and if you come in late, you just you have to like stand the whole time. So
Okay.
this time it was actually like we got seats. I don't remember if we actually booked this. I think we didn't even book in advance. Like we just went in there and we went to the ticket counter and we asked for a ticket. And I don't remember, but if I mean, I guess since we that's what we did, it must mean that we kind of more or less knew in advance that it's not really a crowded season. Um,
Okay. All right.
so yeah, we got to see it. It was mostly empty, and it was fast and easy. So yeah, the
Okay.
only problem with the bullet train is if it's crowded.
Okay.
Um,
Um, can you tell me about your sleep habits and how easy it is to go to sleep? If you go to sleep at the same time, how long you need to sleep, and whether you get that many hours?
so my interpretation of my own um, self, I need I think about like 6 to 7 hours of sleep. Like if I can consistently get 6 to 7 hours of sleep, I'm good. Maybe occasionally I would need to like have a day where I sleep like 10 hours to cover, but that's not actually what usually happens. What usually happens is I get more like 5, sometimes 4 hours of sleep. And one of the reasons I don't really like to sleep early, like if it's 12, I'm like, okay, I have to sleep because tomorrow I have to wake up early. But if if I'm on a holiday and there's absolutely nothing, like we have no plans tomorrow, or our plans tomorrow start in the evening and we have nothing to do in the morning, I could just like sleep late and wake up early. So the only reason I would sleep early and wake up early is if there's like an external reason or like a structure that requires.
Right. Gotcha. So when you do lie down to go to sleep, is it difficult for you to fall asleep?
If so, when I was by myself, it was, but when like now that I with my family, it's I could fall asleep pretty quickly. Um, And the way I interpret that as like when you're by yourself, I don't know if it applies to everyone, but I guess part of you is kind of alert. I mean, instinctually, there must be a reason for you to be alert about the possibility of danger, and so you can't fall asleep easily. At least that's how I interpreted it.
Okay.
Um,
Do you have any habits that you do every night when you go to sleep? For example, Rachel always likes to listen to YouTube videos when she's falling asleep, but I need to have it quiet because I'm imagining stuff in my head.
uh, so if I'm on my own, I would put something on YouTube. Um, if but if it's like in a group or like with family, I don't. It's fine. I can leave it quiet.
But you don't put headphones in because that's what Rachel does. She puts in headphones, so I
Um,
can't.
so I there are times when I do that, but it's because there are things I want to listen to, and I don't have enough time in the day. So I want to like make use of every possible time, and that includes the time of falling asleep. It's like, okay, now is a free time that I can use to like consume this material that I've been trying to consume,
I
but
see.
haven't. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what about your eating habits? Do you eat like regularly every day at the same time? Do you let yourself get really hungry and then go, "Oh, I'm starving, I have to eat something," or something else?
By default, I don't let myself get hungry. I only let myself get hungry if I'm like deliberately trying to follow like a fasting diet or something like
Right.
that. Otherwise,
Um,
yeah. But do I eat on regular schedule? Not really. Um, like I could just snack all day if I don't watch myself.
do you get the pancakes from the Japanese 7-Eleven?
Not the pancakes. I do get stuff, but not pancakes. Pancakes is not my thing. But they have so many varieties of options. Although I think I do get often, I tend to get always the same things, more or less. Um, like I would change, but like not on a daily basis. Like I would get the same thing for a week or a month, and then I'll change.
Okay. Um, yeah, it's YouTube travel people and stuff. Everybody talks about the pancakes at 7-Eleven.
I don't know.
So they're delicious.
Are they?
Um, I don't know. I've never been to Japan. Uh, okay, so can you recount a difference between when you were in, let's say, fifth grade and when you were in seventh grade in school?
The difference between what?
That's like between 11 and 13, maybe years old.
Like I mean, in terms of what? Like the
Like,
material, the
do you can you conceptualize how you were different when you were, say, a
uh,
preteen than when you turn into a teenager?
fifth grade and seventh grade to me sounds like the same period. I can remember the difference between when I was like in primary school and versus secondary school.
Right.
Um, but
Uh,
so the other thing is like fifth and seventh grade, like for me, it was the same school. Like I didn't switch schools. It was the same school, the
oh,
same building. Um,
okay. So that's gonna make it harder. Yeah, for me, that's different schools.
oh, I see, I see. Um, so I did switch schools because when I was 10, I moved between countries. So like fourth grade and fifth grade was radically different. But it's mostly because it was a different country,
Okay.
not because of age per se.
How was that experience of moving in your childhood?
Um, how was it? Again, I guess in terms of what?
Well, like, do you think back on it as traumatic, a positive, or neutral, or
I don't like to use the word traumatic for something like that. Like Traumatic would be like, I don't know, like a bomb fell on your house and like your entire family died except you and your little brother or something.
That would be
But
traumatic.
yeah, but moving countries, I wouldn't call it traumatic, even if it wasn't positive. But I mean, looking back, I didn't like it per se. Um, I would have preferred not to have moved, I guess. But
Did
like
that
moving,
change at some point, or did you continue to feel that way
no, I
until?
mean, at the time, at the time, I didn't think that way. It was like, I guess, it was kind of an interesting experience. Um, it's like only later, it's after I grew up, and I realized that the people I knew from childhood kind of grew up separately, or like we didn't grow up together. That was kind of like oh, I felt like I missed on something. Um,
Sure. Okay.
but before that realization, it wasn't. It was like a different country, different culture, maybe. Like I wasn't like I didn't fit in with many of the kids there, but it's like I don't know. I don't think
What
it was
makes you happy versus what makes you feel fulfilled, if there's any difference?
happy versus fulfilled. I don't think there is a difference.
Okay.
Um, unless you mean happy as in like in the moment and fulfilled as a long term, but like to me they're the same thing.
This is non-alcoholic beer, by the way. I'm not drinking on the
No,
show.
no worries. You can drink if you want.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some extroverted thinking questions now
Okay.
and see if we can spot a polar here.
Okay.
Uh, can you break down the task of cleaning up after you've taken home some takeout food for dinner into exactly 4 steps?
4 steps for cleaning out food for dinner. So if you had food for dinner, that means you have a bunch of empty like plastic plates, and you need to put them in a bag and move them to the garbage. So if you want to break that in 4 steps, well, the last step would be to put the garbage bag, I guess, in the garbage, like the small garbage bag and the bigger garbage bag in the bag. Then that leaves 3 steps. We put all the plastic things in the small garbage bag. So the small garbage bag is the bag that you bought the food with, right? So that would be the third step. That leaves you 2 steps. You could talk about, I guess, if you have leftovers, you would empty them separately first into the large garbage bag. And then, oh, actually, the last step would be like you would wipe the table of any like thing. So I guess step one would be like, if there's any leftover food, throw it out separately if you need to. If you don't trust that the small garbage bags you have will contain it. Step two, put all the plastic containers in the garbage bag. Step three, move the garbage bag to the large garbage bag that's in the garbage bin. And step four, wipe the table, I guess.
Okay, well, you got there. I'm not quite sure what to make of that answer. Um, can you give me some possible solutions for plastics in the ocean?
Well, is it a problem in the first place?
I mean, plastic is in the ocean.
Okay, what is the problem?
Whether it's a problem or not, I guess that's a
Well,
matter of your perspective.
well, you have to say what the problem is that before we find a solution. If okay, there's a plastic in the ocean, what is the problem it's causing? And that is the problem that the fish is going to eat it, and then we're going to eat it back, and that's going to cause health issues, or is the problem that it's going to kill the fish because it like they get into the plastic bags and then they can't breathe? Like, if that's the problem, then I guess it's not an issue. Yeah, I guess first have to define what the actual problem is.
Okay,
But
well,
let's say, okay, let's just assume that plastics in the ocean. Let's take the first part because that's, I think, what I hear about the most. is fish eat it and then we eat the fish. Like it gets into the food ecosystem and then it gets back to us, and it causes like I don't know, like it tracks our systems. So what is the solution? If the solution is that the fish eat it, then we need to somehow put it in containers that the fish do not go inside and eat. But then I think if you put the containers into the ocean, they're gonna crumble under pressure. So that might not be a viable solution. You could we
Well, if the problem is human consumption of plastics by eating fish, then one solution is just don't eat fish.
yeah, but no, you should want to eat fish, and even if you don't eat fish, some other animal is going to eat it, and then it's going to circulate back through other means to back to you.
So we're going to eat bears that eat the fish.
Well, I don't know, like something is going to eat the fish, and then either we eat that or that thing dies, and then it gets into the plants, and like whatever, it can circulate back to us in a million ways. I guess it depends on what the problem is. You just if the you can like push it further, like deep into the ocean, so that it takes a longer time to get back to us, and then by the time it gets to us, we'll have another solution.
Okay.
But
all right, that sounds good. All right, let me ask you some TI questions.
Okay.
So, if some fish eat plastic,
Mhm.
and all things that eat plastic taste good, is it necessarily the case that some fish taste good?
Yes.
Okay. If only Egyptians build pyramids and I build pyramids, am I necessarily an Egyptian?
Yes.
Okay. If some penguins eat fish and some things that eat fish are named Steve, is it necessarily the case that some penguins are named Steve?
No, because some other thing could also eat the fish.
Okay, good. That's very good. Let me ask you a couple genealogy questions now.
Okay.
Can you tell me who my mother's husband's wife is in relation to me?
Assuming no remarriages, I think your grandmother.
Yes. Okay. How about my father's sister's daughter's brother's
Okay,
father?
so fathers,
My
sisters.
father's sister's daughter's brother's father in relation to me.
Your aunt's husband.
Yes, your uncle.
Oh, do you call
All
that your
right.
uncle?
Well, that's very good. Some
Okay, but keep in
very
mind.
high
Okay,
performing
so,
TI.
I took computer science, so like, and I do programming. So
Okay.
so
So
this,
you're very
so
familiar with conditionalities.
yeah, like this is like easy stuff. Maybe if you make
Well,
it
I
more
mean,
complicated.
it is for some people. For some,
Okay.
but what I'm checking for here primarily is if it's like weak, right? How
Okay.
weak it would be. Strong. You can sometimes be used to correlate with 1 and 2 in the slots, but not necessarily. I've seen people with
Okay.
third slot TI perform well in TI tests too.
So I mean, so we took like in first year computer science, there's like a logic course. So like
uh,
it covers all this stuff. But actually I have issue like when you say statements like only Egyptians built pyramids and you built pyramids, therefore you are Egyptian. Okay, according to the rules, yes. But if this was like real life, like only Egyptians built pyramids,
but the
that
sentence
that
is if. The
that's
sentence is if only Egyptians build pyramids.
yes, but that sentence doesn't work in
It is
reality.
true that not only Egyptians build pyramids.
Okay. No. That's not what I mean. It's like only X is Y. It's either because by definition, or we've conclusively like scanned everything everywhere, and we know for like we've counted for all the cases, and we know for sure.
Oh yeah. Well,
So
the thing about the conditional logic stuff is it's assuming the former that things are just definitional. You're just assigning
okay,
set relationships.
yeah, but you cannot define. So in that case, you're defining Egyptian as someone who builds pyramids or some.
No, I'm
But no,
defining. I'm saying that if I build pyramids, I must be Egyptian. That's what only Egyptians build pyramids means is a logical equivalent. Because
I know.
I taught logic, so
Okay.
to me it just seems like the words I put in there are interchangeable, right? Like
Um,
if only P does Q and I do Q, am I necessarily P?
I mean, under the claim, but then, so the issue I have is if we have this assumption that only Egyptians built pyramids, and then we get a sample of someone, okay, under our assumptions, yes, he's Egyptian, but maybe it's actually a chance to revisit that assumption, like discover that actually our previous rule is incorrect because this
What
sample.
I mean, the point of the conditional logic stuff had nothing to do with the parts that aren't statement conditionals, right? Like statement connectors, like and or not and if then. I mean, you don't really even need if then because you can convert it from an
Yeah,
or.
you can use symbols and then just use like P R Q, and then R is like an arrow, and then P and Q is something. But yeah, anyway,
Okay, so that's fine. All right. Let me ask you some extroverted intuition questions.
okay.
Uh, can you tell me as many different reasons as you can think of why somebody might want to join the submarines?
Um, I think most people would do it as a kind of like for like manhood, masculinity, kind of to like feel that they are a worthy person, maybe, or maybe out of duty. I guess you could do it for money, although it doesn't make well, maybe it does make sense. I don't know. So I guess,
The goal here is to come up with as many different
okay,
possible reasons, not
okay,
the best reasons or good
okay,
reasons.
okay. So I guess like self-worth, self-attainment, which masculinity would fall under. Um, money, status, maybe like future life possibilities. I think because the military would like support you in the future. I think that there's a thing. Maybe admiration, like they watch movies and they think it's cool. Um,
Okay, that's cool. Um, I note that you didn't say they like to work in small spaces, right?
I don't know. Do you have to work in small spaces in the Marines?
In the submarines, yeah. You have to
Okay.
be pretty. You have to. They typically take. There's a height limit. You have to be under a certain height to work at a submarine.
Oh, you talked about the submarines? I thought you were talking about like joining the Marine forces.
No, no, I'm talking about the submarines,
Okay,
the
okay, so
boat.
okay. Can you say the question again? Because I think
Yeah,
I
reasons why you
misunderstood.
want to join the submarines. Like
What does joining the submarines mean?
means join the Navy, but the part of the sub that drives the submarines underneath the
Oh,
water rather than on
okay,
top
okay.
of the water.
I guess you like diving or exploring unseen spaces, or like there's some kind of a thrill for you in that, or you think that you're good at it when many people aren't, so it's a good use of your talents.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to come up with a new invention now,
Okay.
and I want you to help me come up with some snappy marketing names for it
Okay.
that'll help it to sell. So it's a it's a bag of beans that has in it automatically a pouch of water and some chemicals that make it boil beans for like 3 hours in this bag, and then you have beans ready.
It's a bag of beans with what again?
Well, you've got this mixture of chemicals and water that when you release it into the bag of beans and shake it up, then it chemically cooks the beans for like 3 hours, and then you have fully cooked beans.
So like you open the bag, you put beans in, and then you just leave it, and then after 3 hours, it's ready to eat.
Yeah.
Um, survival beans.
Okay. Any
Um,
other names for me?
um, um, protein on the go.
Okay.
um, survival protein.
Okay.
Beans for when you don't have food, but that's a long name. The foodless the food, not the foodless man, the foodless man's food, but it's not the foodless man. Emergency. I want to say like the food for the man who has nothing else, but I don't want it to sound like homeless.
Now, what
Um,
about beans?
no, that doesn't say anything.
You don't
That,
like that
doesn't,
name?
that just sounds like you're selling lots of beans and they're good quality. And if you love beans, then that's the product for you because it's the best beans ever. But that's not the feature that makes it different from the other ones.
You can't really call them instant beans because they take 3
Right.
hours.
Yeah. That's right.
All right, cool. Let's see here. So, can you talk to me about well, tell me more about your relationship with the sort of extroverted feeling expectations of Japan, like how everybody's got to behave a certain way, or you're doing something wrong. How does that work with you?
I don't know if it has anything to do with extroverted feeling, but one of the features of the social environment here is that like people keep their distance and then they only bridge them slowly. So whereas like in Canada, you're just shopping and then you like the moment you enter the mall, it's like, oh hi, can I help you? Are you looking for something? Or like, hi, how are you doing today? And then or like at the cashier, there's like, how's your weekend? Or like, do you have any plans? And like to me, I'm just buying this thing and I need to pay. Like I'm not looking for chit chat. So
So do you do the perfunctory chit chat anyway, or are you rather terse in your response?
I try to be terse. So it's like, so when I go to a store and then like someone jumps at you and it's like, are you looking for something? I was like, I'm just looking. Thank you.
Okay.
And at the register, like at the cashier, I would just say, it's all good. Or like I would just like, but like in Japan, the default is like to keep distance and to be just like the default is politeness, not warmth. And that
Okay.
I think that works for me better.
Okay.
But it does mean that you have to kind of behave or like be more cognizant of your behavior in public, so that you don't make movements that take up too much space. Like for instance, people think in Japan the rule is to follow the rules, but that's not actually true. The rule in Japan is not to inconvenience others. So there are cases where like the rule says you should do X, but everyone does Y because Y is the thing that doesn't cause inconvenience to others. So
And do you find it pretty easy to keep that rule of thumb in mind and follow it?
I think so, although sometimes I realize after the fact, like, oh, I've been doing this, but that thing I've been doing is actually kind of causes like some inconvenience to others, so I should be more careful about that. So very very small thing, like if you ride the train and you carry like your backpack, that takes extra space, right?
Okay.
So
So how are you supposed to carry it?
you either like take it off and in your hand or like put it on top of a rack, or like some people they move it forward so that they see, because if it's behind you, you don't know what's behind you, so you could hit someone. But if it's in
Right.
front, it's easier to see if it's like causing problems, right?
Right. Right. Okay. So, do you find that you naturally are attuned to what those expectations are? Like when, like in other words, can you read other people's reactions when you violate those norms?
Um, it's easy to observe and see what everyone is doing and see and notice that. It's also easy to notice when like a tourist does something that is out of place. And so I guess you just, is it easy to see? Well, they're not going to look at you and like tell you that's rude. They're just going to like look a bit, um, not discomfort. They're going to look a bit, what's the word?
Embarrassed on your behalf
Distressed.
or distressed? Okay.
So like if someone looks like distressed because, um, like for instance, like you walked or like you took too much space in walking and like someone just got like like someone like I don't know, like you brushed someone off and they were like, I don't know, like they're more likely to look away than to look at you, I think. And that's also what I would do.
Okay.
To avoid to avoid eye contact with someone that you've had a negative interaction with. I think
So, what are the systems in Japan that you find more difficult than Western approach, and what systems do you find more easy?
like in the socially or everything.
No, I mean just in your going about of life. For example, an answer might be, I find uh, figuring out the bus schedule more easy, but I find um, like getting the right haircut very difficult or something.
Um, well, there are many. So there are many like services. So getting a haircut is one of the things that when you do it for the first time, so that yeah, that's actually good. But this is actually more of a language barrier than anything. Like there are many, for instance, if you're new to Japan, like one of the things that might grab your attention is there are so many like karaoke establishments, but how do you go how do you go there? Like if you go there, how do you like what you're supposed to do? What are you supposed to say? Because they're not going to
Right.
speak English most of the time. So if you don't know like the phrases ahead of time, might be an issue. Or like if you someone like if you're going with a group, someone should needs to know the language and not the language like even I don't mean like the Japanese language. I mean the language used in this kind of place. How to order or how to request a room and how to talk about that with the staff. So that's more of a language barrier than it. Well, I guess yeah, it does count, right? Because it's a culture too.
Yeah.
Getting a haircut, yeah, similar, I guess. But getting a haircut, I think, is such a common thing to want to do, even if you're like on a vacation. So if you go to like one of the touristy areas, there are going to be like some haircut places with like English welcome or something. So
Hmm.
it's easier to go there.
I see.
Um, but more generally, something that is culturally more difficult. Um, well, I guess everything like that. Like if you go to a bookstore, um, you might be confused by how they do things. Um, but again, like you wouldn't go to a bookstore unless you spoke the language.
Okay. Um, if something breaks around your house, like say a doorknob, are you going to try to fix it yourself? Or are you going to hire someone to fix it, or maybe your wife fixes it?
Um, if it's insignificant, I wouldn't bother. I would try to ignore it and then see if it if it's not a problem. If it's a problem, I will try to fix it myself. And if I can't, again, if it's not a huge issue, I'll just ignore it, or just like I'll just acknowledge it's there, but like yeah, it's a non broken part of the house. If it's kind of a problem, then and I can't fix it, then I'll call someone, I guess.
Okay. Do you think, say, a broken doorknob would be something that you would be able to fix?
A broken doorknob. Um, if it's a screw issue, depends on what's broken.
Okay.
I'll try to open it and see if I can fix it first, I guess.
Okay. Are you generally pretty good at figuring stuff like that out?
Um, I don't do it often, but I mean, you can Google stuff. You can look for on YouTube how to do stuff. You can
Sure.
even ask like AI.
Yeah.
So it's easier now than before. Am I good at
Okay.
it? Would I be good at it if there was no no internet? Um, maybe, because if there was no internet, then I would have more reasons maybe to learn about it through other ways, like learn from someone or like from a friend or family. Like it would be something that has happened before in a family member's house and we've seen it and we try to fix it. I don't know, I think. Um,
Okay.
so so the thing with the internet, it can be a bit off topic, but there are so many things that now we rely on the internet for. It's like, how did people do this before? But like before, like there used to be another system for people to do this thing, but this system kind of faded away because of the internet, or like because there's a new way to learn.
What was that system to do? What? Which like this kind of thing that we're doing right now?
No, I mean, like for instance, so another thing that is difficult to imagine how you would do it without the internet is like navigation, or like going from place to place. But like there used to be maps. Like people used to just
Right.
like buy maps and then just look at the map and then figure out how to go from here to here.
Yeah.
And and these used to be everywhere, I guess, but they're not so much everywhere now. You can still find them, but they're not so common. But if you don't realize that there was actually something before, it would sound like before it was impossible and now it's possible thanks to Google Maps. But there used to be something else before. It just faded
Yeah.
away.
It also used to be the case that you could call a place. I lived in Los Angeles. I don't anymore, but you could call a place and ask them how to get there
Oh,
from a city. You know, like how do
yeah.
I get to your place from Pasadena? And they tell you, oh, take this freeway to this freeway, get up on this exit.
Okay. Yeah.
But nowadays, if you were to call and ask a place how to get there,
They're
they'd
like,
say, well, why don't you ask your phone that you're calling me on right now? You
right. Yeah.
know. I don't know how you would have. How I guess prior to the internet, we would have done this over the phone. It would have just been voice only.
Um, well, this is actually, I think this is genuinely one of the things that probably would not have happened without the internet
Oh
because,
yeah, I wouldn't have. It wouldn't have. But
um,
in theory, there would have been a way for us to communicate. I guess still.
but I guess
Prior to
there,
that, we would have had to do it by letters.
like, you know what might have happened is that there would be more like local, I don't know, like local typology experts.
Yeah, maybe,
Doing,
maybe.
um,
Okay. Well, I will agree with you about one thing. I don't know if you actually made this claim, but you're somewhat tricky to type.
okay. Well, I did say that I changed my interpretation of my type a few times.
Okay. Can you tell me what's important to you?
What's important to me? I guess myself and my family's future well-being and financial freedom and having connection to, I mean, not for me per se, but like for my kids, I guess. to have like a stable social environment and connection to their community on both sides.
So you don't want to move them partway through their childhood?
Yeah, because I moved partway and it was like it's better not to if you can. I mean, if you can't,
Okay.
you can't. Um, but
Um, okay, cool. And what's your relationship with, on the one end, procrastination, on the other end, accomplishment?
um, so I do procrastinate and I hate it, and I do have like ambitions, and I feel good when I accomplish something, and but I guess it's complicated because they both are present. Um, but I tend to like when I so like say I'm working on something, I'm supposed to be working on something, but I find myself procrastinating or doing something else instead. Um, I would feel like I was wasting my time, so I wouldn't feel good about it, and I was trying to figure out like why why that happened. And sometimes I can figure out a reason, sometimes not, but figure out why that happened and then try to figure out how to remedy it. And then even try to figure out if maybe that actually happening, maybe that was actually a good thing. Like maybe sometimes procrastination is a good thing if the thing you're about to do is not actually the right thing that you need to do, and you need to deliberate on it a bit more to figure out what is the actual thing you want to do. Um, but otherwise, I find that most of the time it's because I'm not clear on exactly how what the steps are, or there is some kind of a blocker. Like I need to clear a few blockers before I can move this way. But
I see.
it's kind of subconscious. Like my conscious is just like it's just kind of stuck in analysis paralysis. So if
Okay.
I'd like to step back, it's like, oh wait, I have to clear this thing first, and then I can move.
Okay. Gotcha. So, well, I mean, I feel like I have you narrowed down pretty well to two types, but let me see what else I can ask here. So, all right, I'm going to give you an example of me recounting my events of the day, okay?
Okay.
And then I want you to do the same for your day, okay?
Okay.
So I got up this morning early and I watched a little bit of TV and then I went back to bed. And then I got up again and then Rachel was up already. And then we had a little bit of coffee here. And then we got in the car and we drove down to Merced. And then we got out of the car and we talked to the guy at the like that. Okay.
That's pretty detailed. Um, okay, so this might be a bit of cheating because I've seen you ask this question, and when you were asking it, I was in my head. I was trying to remember. Okay, so if I was being asked, what would I say? So anyway, so recount events from today when you wake up. So I woke up and I kind of just lied in bed for a bit, and then I was reading stuff on Twitter. And then the kids were already up and they were having breakfast. And then I figured it's time for me to move, to like start changing. So I went to the toilet and then I changed and then
Okay. All right. That's good.
okay.
Do people think of you as being more extroverted than you actually are, or do people think of you as being more introverted than you actually are?
I don't know. Um,
Okay.
like I haven't asked, but I don't think anyone thinks of me as extroverted. I think everyone who sees me thinks I'm shy, which is probably true. Um,
Okay. All right. You are a very tough nut to crack. It's obvious your SI is backside 7 or 8, you know,
Hmm.
which immediately cuts down to 4 types. Your TI is very good, which is suggestive more likely of 5 or 6 than 3 or 4. Your FE is not doesn't seem to be polar. I don't have great FE polar tests except for tests of sarcasm. But I'm imagining you don't have a lot of opportunity to use sarcasm in Japan.
Um, why not?
Well, because I don't think of Japanese society as being very sarcastic.
Um, I think people say that, but I don't think it's necessarily the case.
Okay.
Um, it's
So
actually, yeah, it's just that like when you don't understand the culture, you don't notice because they do sarcasm in a different way.
okay,
Um,
but you feel like you pick up on it. Okay.
I think so.
Do you ever try to do it?
Um, if do I try to be sarcastic?
Yeah.
If yeah, I mean, why not? If there's if there's an opportunity that and it would lighten up the mood, then why not?
Can you give an example of saying something in Japanese where if you say it normally, like wakata, it means normal, but if you say it like
Uh,
wakata, it means sarcastic?
mm, um, I think I remember like watching a bunch of YouTube shorts where people were doing that. To give like a specific example, like um, so like I guess you could recall an event and it was actually really like awful experience, but you try to say, oh yeah, that was such a nice experience. And you could say, I guess, like you could say maybe like tanoshikatta would be like that was fun. And then if it was like really awful, but like you're just trying to be sarcastic about it, you could say, あれは楽しかったな. Or no, never mind. That was actually that would be normal. How do you say it sarcastically? Um, so I have to try. I have to try a few times. 楽しかったな. That would be kind of sarcastic. It's not
Okay.
the. It's maybe like the look on your face. 楽しかったな.
Okay. So it's like, dry, deadpan.
It's like you're saying what you're saying and what your face is like doesn't match.
Okay.
Um,
Um, you were really tough to peg. I
okay, I'll say one thing about me that I've noticed. I don't know if it has any relevance. So like I do like programming and stuff, and there are like 3 levels I think of in programming. One is like the low levels, like when you're building like a system at the low level, like a game engine or a database engine, or like a file system, or like an operating system kind of thing.
Mhm.
And like I admire that, but I'm not really good at it. And then there's like the high level application stuff, where it's like you have no idea how any of the systems are built, but you're writing HTML page and like a little bit of JavaScript to make it animate or something. But you wouldn't know how to actually draw something on the screen and how to put the logic for animation.
Okay.
And I don't enjoy that either. But I
Okay.
enjoy like the designing a system using other like lower level components, but like putting them together as like in an architecture that would allow the other guys, like the application programmer guys, who don't care anything about anything at all, to use them more effectively to do the thing they need to do. Um,
Okay.
but if I was actually to implement the lower level stuff, I often get like pretty stuck because like the logic is very detailed, and it's very easy to make small mistakes that would be catastrophic. So you need like lots of other systems in place to like for testing and whatnot.
Checkers.
And I just don't have all the experience to do all that.
Right. Okay. A lot of detail level TI stuff probably, but regardless, I mean, where I'm
So what
where I'm leaning is INTJ, ENTJ, somewhere one of those two. But the
okay.
thing is, um, I don't quite know what to make of your odd TE question answers. Although ultimately you gave me the 4 steps and you tried to optimize them for the reality as best you could. I would expect somebody with PE 1 or 2 to answer that a little differently. And then on the other hand, on the question about the plastics in the ocean, you wanted to refine it to a more clearly solvable problem. In other words, you wanted me to articulate um, the measurable impact so that it could be addressed directly rather than have a general problem, which would tend to think it represents TE up high.
Okay.
But
Mhm.
yeah, what do you, I guess I'm leaning towards um ENTJ on the grounds that I don't think you seem very FE polar, but you also don't seem SI polar. So,
Hmm.
but I mean, you could be SI polar. You could be because
Okay.
but you could be FE polar. But I don't know. You don't seem FE polar to me.
Okay. Did I ever so like any halfway through did you ever think I might be INTP or INFP? No, nowhere.
No,
Okay.
no, because your relationship with SI is not that of front stack NESI. Like, you know, when I'm giving you a lot of details like that, that's very easy and natural for me to do. And in fact, um,
But I did give you details though. Like
you
when
did
I
give me a lot of details. I know you did. On
okay.
the other hand, when I ask about your sleeping habits and you're telling me you're getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, that is not what INTPs or INFPs do.
Okay. Is it? Because
I mean, I
okay,
don't think
because
so.
like for me, like like when you do the MBTI, like
Uh,
there's like the PJ question or like a bunch of PJ questions, and I would tend to choose like P just because I don't have a good
okay,
sleeping
well,
schedule
you
and
know,
whatever. So I used to
you're
think
you're making me rethink this whole thing here.
okay, so I used to think of myself like when I took it first, I thought I was INFP, and then I realized wait, F like the feeler and thinker does not mean what I think it means. So I thought maybe I'm actually INTP. Like it wasn't a perfect match, but I never questioned
No,
my PJ. And
I think
only
you might be
recently,
INTP. I think you might be an INTP
really,
actually.
I only recently started to think maybe I'm actually INTJ because like my mental model of how I think used to be like NETI. Like I explore concepts and then try to put them together in a coherent structure. At least that's how I conceptualize my thinking process. But
No,
only recently I started thinking, wait, actually, I'm only doing this with like high level concepts. I'm not actually interested in like the details of the logic of like maybe that's actually introverted intuition and I completely misunderstood the whole thing. Um, but
well,
you said ENTJ, INTJ, which means
I mean, what happened here is I think you paid me to tell me what type you were because I think you are an INTP, and the reason I didn't embrace it right away is because you told me like the reason I didn't consider it is because you told me things like you don't really remember this trip to that you recently took,
yeah.
and you know that your sleep habits and stuff, and I just said, well, that sounds like textbook NI front
Hmm,
stack, and I just guess I locked in on that. But I think it's very possible you're an INTP. Your TI certainly is as strong as a dominant TI person.
okay.
There's no worries about that, which is why I ultimately also dismissed FE front stack ultimately because I thought, well, if you're not one or two, because of you being, I don't know why I thought that. I don't know why I thought that. I've been kind of locked in on those 4 types from early on, which I don't normally do. I work my process of elimination. Your extrovert intuition was certainly amply good for second slot. Like you came up with plenty of reasons and examples, and you didn't come up with a lot of names because you wanted it to be specific to the product
How would you
more
tell
than just
apart
that.
an E from an I? It's like
What's
that.
that?
How do you tell apart an E from an I? I think that's for me the thing I'm
Oh,
struggling.
I mean, I don't. I tell apart NI from SI consistently, and I tell apart
Okay.
NE from SE. But I think I just kind of got locked here in on the wrong track when I was
Hmm.
approaching this because your TE confused me a lot. But that what that sounded like was actually, in retrospect, a lot of extroverted intuition,
Was it?
because sure, well, if you have this, then you need to do that. Extroverted intuition with introverted thinking. If you have this product in the bag, like say like leftover food, then you need to put it to the side. But if you don't, then you need to blah blah blah. That's kind of a lot of extroverted intuition. It's not a lot of extroverted thinking,
Well,
which
I'm just trying to figure out to understand what the thing is because
okay, well,
when I heard
extroverted
it for the
thinking is
first time,
coordinating tasks. Extroverted thinking is coordinating tasks. So when you say there's a block and then you go realize, oh, I have to go back and do this first and then I can move forward.
Mhm.
That's extroverted thinking kicking in and saying, oh, I'm being flummoxed by an order of operations issue.
Mhm.
Okay. If it's fifth slot and ignoring, it might play out the way you described it there. It's hard to
Mhm.
say.
Mhm.
But extroverted intuition is this talking stuff, coming up with more ideas and possibilities, usually in words, but you could do it in other media as well,
Mhm.
Introverted intuition is coalescing things down to the nutshell. So if I were to, I didn't even bother giving you the NI polar test because you seem so obviously not NI polar. With the NI polar test, I would say, uh, if like I give you a long sentence with a lot of redundancies, can you give me the nutshell of it? Or I could ask you, can you tell me the nutshell of the plot of Jurassic Park in as few words as possible?
Hmm. Well, one thing I've noticed in myself is like if I'm listening to someone and they take a very long time to get to the point, I get very frustrated because I'm just trying to piece together what the point is from what they're saying. And if
Mhm.
I can't piece it or if I can't find it, then it's just like, okay, so what? Like, what are you trying to say, man?
Okay.
And
Well,
I thought maybe that is an I, but again, like,
that's an impatience with somebody else's bad NI,
okay.
which is consistent with sixth slot NI, but it's not exclusive to it.
Well, it's like they're just giving me like a whole bunch of random details. Like, okay, like so like let's say someone's giving me details of like how to get from whatever my place to some other place. And they're just like, well, you go to the front door and then you take left and then you will find like it's all step by step, only the next step. They only show me the next step. They never tell me what the thing is gonna look like in the end. Like I want I want to start with, well, you're on the left side, on the east side, and it's on the very far west. And so you need to get on this road first. And to get on this road, then you follow these instructions. And then on that road, you need to exit from there. And to exit from there, you have to be careful about this other side. Like,
That's a very sensible way to present things. I
but
agree.
then there are people who just like will just give you like the steps from where you are without showing you where the thing is going. And
Right.
that's kind of what frustrates me.
Right. Well, that does sound like an NTP frame of reference. For example, when I learned foreign languages, I wanted to learn all the grammar first and then fill in vocabulary.
Yeah, that's
That's
kind of like I guess that's similar for me as well.
yeah, it's not how they teach it though.
Right.
Um I do think you're an NTP, INTP probably because I mean, you could be. No, you're not. You need to have a better relationship with your FI than polar, probably. That one's tricky to tell.
The other
But
thing,
go ahead.
the thing is, it's like I'm 40, so I've probably learned some ways to compensate for whatever some of the weaknesses in my other areas. So I don't know if something I do because comes naturally to me or because I had to learn to compensate for the lack of it.
Hmm.
Like the
I've
logic.
never learned to compensate for any of my lackings. So congratulations.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just raising that as a possibility. Like the logic questions, um, I don't know. Like you could say I am trained in that, but not really. Like, so I
It
remember.
really doesn't make any difference, surprisingly. You'd be surprised. It's like I've had people who work in programming before struggle with those kind of questions, no problem.
Yeah. I know. There are many programmers, and they can't. They don't know how to do basic stuff. Um,
Right, and
so
those questions may sound very simple for us,
mm,
if but they're not for people who don't have introverted thinking in the first or second slot. And it's like you would have had remarkably robust TI for fifth or sixth too. So I think INTP makes the most sense, really.
yeah,
I feel embarrassed that I just missed it
I see.
somehow. Like,
So when I took the logic course actually in university, that was like the whole course for like an entire semester. And like halfway through, I was waiting for the next piece, but like the next piece never came out. So I was talking to my TA and I was like, is this the whole course? Is there gonna be anything else? And he's like, yeah, that's the whole course, and most people struggle with it.
yeah, they,
So
they do,
I
and
don't know.
I bet they didn't even get to quantification theory.
No, it was only like L1 logic, like very simple
Yeah,
stuff. We didn't even get to like I don't know if we got to like a bit. I think it does get a bit tricky near the end, but like I do remember like so many people were like struggling with, and
yeah,
like
I've taught it, and people do struggle with it, even with the basic
mhm,
stuff. And
okay,
people will use the like brute force methods to solve things if they don't get the proofs.
so
Some
even
people just conceptually can't do proofs the right way.
even TE would struggle with it,
Who?
like extroverted thinking.
No, they like TE 1 or 2 would not struggle with the class. They do fine.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, they do fine. TI 3 might do fine. It's gonna take them longer. They'll just take longer to do the test. They might still get it all right. It's when you
Okay.
start getting TI 7 or TI 8, especially in ISFPs, you're gonna have people who really just can't do it. And TI 6, they'll be fine, but they may not like it as much.
Okay, so TI or TE 1 or 2 would be fine with it, right?
Yeah.
So it could be TE.
Well, yeah, but they could be fine with it. Is different than having the semester half over, you having mastered all the logic material and being like, that's it for the class. That's very. I mean, that shows that you just and the thing is, people at TI in the first or second slot, they can do that just as well as kids too.
Hmm.
I've got an ISTP student who I still work with occasionally, and she had me work with her on logic stuff. She picked it up as fast as I could go through it.
Hmm. Okay, I see. Hmm. I see. So your assessment is INTP, not INTJ.
Correct. I
Okay.
I just did a bad job tonight. I'm sorry about that.
Sorry. I mean,
Sometimes I do a bad
it,
job. I'm not trying to do a bad job.
I mean,
I assure you, I'm trying my best.
there's might be like the cultural or like the language difference might throw you off.
Well, what kept throwing me off is your FE seemed better than 7 or 8, right? But I was stuck in this INFJ, ENFJ, ENTJ, or INTJ mode.
Mhm.
And it's like I closed off the conditionality that you were SI front stack. right? So at that point, I was not thinking about any SI front stack types. I was trying to narrow it down between these four and having a hell of a time doing it because you're none of those four.
So like you'd say like my third would be SI.
Yeah. And I know that's not consistent with your sleep habits, but at least you said you do have to occasionally get your 10 hours of sleep. It is consistent with your eating habits, which is much more consistent with that than say ENTJ or INTJ. And it's more consistent with your extroverted feeling, which seems front stack. It's more consistent with the fact that we have a very easy back and forth and conversation, which is not really determinant of anything, but it's suggestive of like same quadra.
So you see FE in me?
Yeah, you're not FE backstack in the sense that, like, if I started talking over you a little bit or something, like let's say you weren't quite done, I tried talking over you, you'd probably give way rather than finish what you're saying. That's an indication of FE front stack rather than 8 or 7. And you also seem to have more general awareness of FE considerations like sarcasm and people's, manner of being and, emotional expressiveness and stuff, then I would expect somebody to have conscious ability to articulate an FE 8 or 7. You also seem to know what's important to you more than I would expect from FI polar.
Wouldn't that be more consistent with FI though, rather than FE?
Well, yes, it is more consistent with FI, but we're not comparing FI versus FE here. We're saying FI 7 or FI 8.
So polar is like 8?
Polar is 7. That's where my FI is. So if I did now, granted, you know a lot about typology and stuff coming in. You kind of these questions and stuff. So that's going to impact it somewhat, but it's only going to impact it somewhat in certain types too. You've got to be able to intuitively and correctly engage with what I'm saying in the first place.
So I'm not actually familiar with like polar. I only know like the
it
four...
means blind spot. It just means like the blind spot. Seven slot function. So INTP has SE polar, which I'd expect you to say more you relate to procrastination than you do, but you do relate to it somewhat. And you try to understand what makes you procrastinate, which is a very not SE thing to do, right? You don't try to push your way through it.
It's always after the fact though. It's always like, man, today I didn't do what I set out to do, and like, what the hell, kind of thing. Okay.
Well, that sounds like backslide SE. I'm proud of myself because I did the thing I was supposed to do today. I took the car down to the shop to get fixed.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my diagnosis is the same as your diagnosis. I just had to have my eyes opened a little bit here.
So like my recent maybe it's actually INTJ. It's probably not right.
No, you're not an INTJ.
Okay.
Your FE is way too good, and INTJ typing sessions go fast too.
Oh, like how would an INTJ answer things differently?
Well, they certainly wouldn't take as long as you did to come up with 4 steps to clean up the table. They would just give me 4 steps, like bam, 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 bam. They also wouldn't give me those FEQs that you do all the time, like this and that kind of stuff. They don't do that at all. If you're FE 7 or 8, you don't do that because you don't think the other person needs to know what you're feeling. And the answers would probably be different on some of the the TI questions. It wouldn't be as quick, it wouldn't be as robust.
Okay.
All right, so are we good? You satisfied?
I think so. I still don't really know what like I'm still puzzled. Okay, so if my process is NETI,
Mhm.
what the hell is NI? Because when I read the description of NI, it doesn't
Okay,
make any
so
sense.
introverted sensing and introverted intuition, you can understand them by two proto functions that infants develop. One of them is called shape constancy, and one of them is called object permanence. SI is knowing by your own experience. So I know I left that thing there that's going to still be there when I come back, right?
Okay.
Same, it's not going to disappear.
Right.
When kids stop being entertained by peekaboo, they've developed object permanence.
Okay.
Shape constancy is the idea that when you look at this thing this way or this way or this way, you get that it's the same thing. You understand what its identity is, even though it looks different from different
Right.
perspectives, but it has the same identity. That's introverted intuition's proto function, which
Okay.
is called shape constancy. And it basically says, I know that that thing is that thing by its identity rather than by my relationship to it. And so intuition is harder to explain by any other word than intuition, but it's knowing externally or objectively, whereas introverted sensing, our conscious knowing function, is knowing from our own experience. So you'll go to a certain street corner, you'll remember when you get there, you'll remember something that happened at that corner before in the past, even if the thing that happened there isn't relevant. Introverted intuition highlights what's relevant, right? With 6-slot introverted intuition, it's demonstrative for you, so you can certainly do it. But it highlights what's relevant rather than what's relevant to you.
It's relevant to you. I'm always trying to like prune out what's relevant and irrelevant. Like that's another thing that made me think maybe my process is actually introverted intuition because like I'm just really fascinated by the idea of having like a contrarian perspective on things. And I have a few of my own.
The thing is, we're both intuitives, and so accordingly, we have a more naturally happy relationship with introverted intuition a lot of the time because we're dealing in stuff where introverted intuition matters and introverted sensing doesn't. So, like whether we're consuming media, we want it to be relevant and concise and convey information effectively and or entertain effectively.
Right.
We don't want it to be somebody detailing their day at the grocery store, right?
Right.
Whereas when you get extroverted intuition in the 3rd slot and introverted intuition in the 7th, then you have somebody who does tell you that stuff at the end of the day and expect you to listen to it and enjoy what they're saying, even though it's not relevant to anything at all.
Yeah.
But, intuitives are going to prioritize in things where intuition matters. Accordingly, you're going to have a more robust, in some sense, relationship with introverted intuition and a more childlike relationship with introverted sensing because it's in the 3rd slot.
Okay. I see. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, I hope it was adequate to be clarifying, even if it took you to tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is longer than your usual calls. Like I see some of them even ended in like half an hour.
Well, that one actually has a second half coming.
Right. I see. Yeah.
Yeah, because we ended at half an hour, and he said he wanted to think of some questions, and then we'll do.
Yeah.
And we actually have the second half of that scheduled for not tomorrow, but Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, he reminds me of someone I know, by the way. Anyway, I don't know.
Do you think he was is someone you know? Do you also think he's an ESTP?
Yeah, he has the same manner as this as well.
Okay, cool. All right, so are you comfortable with me publishing this?
Yeah, I think
All
so.
right.
I don't think we discussed anything private, so I think it's okay. Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Have
very
a
much.
great evening.
Okay. Thanks.